Right, evening guys. Just a little tips video. I'm going to get a couple more done tonight as well. Hope you're all well. So tonight the little video is going to be about shotting patterns. It seems when I've been out coaching the last couple of weeks, it is something people get confused with, and it's dead simple. So I'm just going to give you the basic patterns, what I'd use each one for and why. So I've got the top kit still in here from the other night. I've just picked up any rig, it doesn't matter which one we do it with. Right, we'll start at the positive end. Just a simple bolt above the hook length loop. Now, when would we use this one? A couple of different times we would. I'll just hold it up a little bit closer to the camera so you can see. Just a simple bolt above the hook length loop. First of all, shallow water. I'll explain why we do each one as well, what we're trying to achieve. I'm talking 18 inches and below here. I'd always use a bolt, as I explained in the mudline video, but it's worth going through it all again. If a fish comes into that shallow water, blows your rig around, it's displacing, one carp could be a foot deep, it's displacing the whole water table, most of the water table in that shallow water. It's going to blow all your rig around, and you're just trying to reset it quickly, and keep it still. If you had a strong shot, and when I first started fishing commercials, it went against everything I knew from fishing the rivers, where the shallower water, the smaller the float you use. You want to be using a heavier float and a bulk, so it just sits there. So in margin fishing and mudline fishing, that's when I'd use a bulk. There are other times as well. In the summer with like soft pellets, I'd quite happily just use a bulk, especially if there were lots of small fish involved. Again, when I'm fishing like big baits, cat meat, worms and stuff in deep water, they're really heavy baits. There's no need for droppers and stuff. Keep it really simple. I would just use a bulk again, but with a longer hook length. I'm going to do a separate video on hook lengths. I think that's a little interesting one again from coaching, different things people have been asking me. So that's that. Moving up to, we started at the most positive, and we'll work our way up to like negative if we want to speak. The next sort of hook length, the next sort of shotting pattern I'd use is a bulk, and like the bulk one dropper. When would I use that? Like again, soft pellets. That is the one I would choose to use ideally. You're bombing the bait down, and corn, the heavy baits. When it's warm, you're trying to get the bait straight down. You're not fishing through the water with it as such. Again, worms, like fishing for F1s and stuff with worms, and again it's down to the depth. I'd use this with just a one dropper, with soft pellets, and that's what I'd use for everything. But for say like me, on a positive rig, or for F1s, I always like positive rig, even with meat, even though it falls through the water, a strong out shotting is just not positive enough and you miss lots of bites. So that would be in like up to sort of 3 foot, 18 inches to 3 foot. That would be the one I would choose. It's just keeping the rig balanced, all your weight's down. You don't want too many droppers because you'd have to space the bulk up too far. Bit of a pointless exercise. A little tip I will say, it's with all droppers as well. I've got a foot hook length on it, it's just a rig I've hooked up. But I'll just try and lay my pole rig down so we can see it properly. I showed someone this at coaching the other day. It's something I've always done. It's really simple, but if you don't know it, you don't know it, as with lots of things in fishing. Once you've plumbed your rig up, you've got your bulk where you want. Get your bottom shot that's against your hook length loop. Fold your hook back up your line. Make sure it doesn't reach your next shot. I'm just holding that there if you can see that. The simple reason is when you lay your rig in, if it can reach that next shot, it can hook over I'm just trying to hold it again. It can hook over it and that's where you're going to get tangles. So always make the time, even if you've got 2 droppers, just make sure the first one doesn't reach the second. Just lay it back like I say, make sure it doesn't reach. When it's dropping through the water, if the bait rises up as it's dropping down, it won't tangle around that bulk or your next dropper. Avoid a lot of tangles. So it's a good little tip. I do it with all my rigs. I always set up like that. It just stops it folding over, which is just wasting time. So next up from that, just creating a bit more fall, we would be down to a bulk, the bulk, and then 2 droppers. Again, this is for over the 3 foot, where I'm still having a bulk it down, but I'm just wanting the bait to fall through. Great rig with maggots and stuff, just letting it fall through that bottom sort of 1.5 foot of water. Again, this is why we would use a shorter hook length if we wanted the bottom dropping near, but I will cover that. So yeah, that's moving up from that. Next is sort of the strung bulk people talk about. Now, I like a tapered strung bulk. It's always worked for me, just to achieve what you're doing. By tapered string bulk, the first shot's there, and the gap just gets slowly and slowly bigger over the sort of bottom third. That would be for like it's where I'm wanting the bait to fall through the water, but I still want some stability. Ideally, this is for lighter rigs, like we covered with hard pellets and meat, fishing through the water, like maggots in winter, things like that. Perfect scenario, you would have your shot evenly strung all the way through the rig. But if you've got a ripple or a wind or a really light float, it's just going to blow around everywhere, and you're not going to get the presentation. So this is combined. This is the best of both worlds between the bulk and a dropper or 2 droppers and a spread shot. You're getting this float's going to cock because of the tighter strung bulk a third up, and then it's just going to fall nicely through the rest of the rig. So that's where I'd use that one. And then finally, I don't really need to spread these out because it's pretty self-explanatory. But finally, you've got your strung out shot, like all the way down the rig, and this is the ideal one for fishing through the water with a carbon stem, so you can hold it and it will register each shot as it falls. If you did it with a wire stem, you'd be defeating the object, because the float would cock straight away from the wire stem, and you wouldn't actually see the shots falling and settling on your float, and you won't see a bite if one takes it halfway. But that is ideal conditions, falling through the water, and it's just about, like I say, altering the conditions. On really hard days like in the winter, where you want the bait falling through, but for carp and stuff where they're watching it fall, but the wind's really bad, don't be afraid to use a bulk and a dropper, but use the bulk at sort of mid-depth to cock the float, decent weighted float, and then just letting the bottom half of the rig, once it's all under control, settle. So they're the 4 basic shotting patterns. It's just varying them all for what you're doing. Again, for shallow, the bulk above the hook length for slapping when you're making noise, and then just spreading it out more as you're trying to get an even fall. Don't be afraid to put, again, like I've just said, don't be afraid to have one shot down and all the bulk under the float to help it settle on a little shallow float. Just think about what you're doing, and as always, don't forget the back shot. Don't ever forget the back shot. Another little tip with back shot, again like the one I've just done with the hook lengths, if you've got say 8 inches of line between your float and your thing, make sure the back shot is 5 inches above the float, just over halfway. It just means if you're holding it dead tight, that it's not going to affect your float because it's nearer the pole tip than the float. There are odd days when you want it really tight, but there's specific situations, and when I actually get out on the bank and do some videos for you, I can go further into that. But I'm just going through the basics here because I do get asked a lot of, I'm covering things technically, but we still need to know the basics, and I do get a few people asking me things like that, and especially on the coaching, which is what this is at the end of the day. So that is shotting patterns. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. And I'll get another video done in a minute for you. Thanks very much.